discuss our upcoming machine learning and artificial intelligence bootcamp that is starting. My name is Amber Carney. I'm a project coordinator with RoboGarden, and I'm joined today by Nicole Woodland. She is one of our instructors. We will be briefly going over some questions back and forth between Nicole and myself, and then we'll open up some question and answers from the audience. So that'll be at the end. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments and we will answer them at the end of our chat. All right, Nicole, can you please give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure, Amber. Thanks so much, everybody. If you're listening in, I'm so excited that you've joined us for the next little bit here. I'm excited to tell you a little bit about myself and the RoboGarden program that's coming up with the University of British Columbia through our partnership to bring this really exciting bootcamp. So yeah, a little bit about myself. I am a geological engineer by background. I studied rocks and found myself working in energy for around 10 years or so. And then I had an opportunity to switch things up a little bit. So I actually was offered a chance to study machine learning, and I was very excited to do that. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But as a geological engineer, we spend a lot of time working with data. We can't see the subsurface or what's behind the surface that is right in front of us. So we need ways to try and understand what it could look like. And so we work with a lot of different sensors, a lot of different mapping techniques, statistical or geostatistical techniques. And what we're really doing is data analysis. We're creating visualizations, maps, models, ways to take the data that we collect, interpret it, and turn it into something that we can use to explain the world around us. So it's really about like data storytelling and working and doing data analysis and working with data. That leads really well into something like machine learning. But there are many industries that work with data. So a little bit more about me. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been running or starting or working with people in little businesses for as long as I can remember. I help run and support multiple small businesses, and I've led them through various digital transformation projects, everything from setting up like customer-facing portals to automating mapping processes and routing and all different stuff like that. So I help companies do that, and now I support other businesses looking to do digital transformation projects, add automation like artificial intelligence or machine learning processes and techniques to their businesses as a business analyst with Medi Microengineering Tech located here in Calgary. So yeah, that's my kind of career in a nutshell, but really it all comes down to I love working with data. I love trying to find information and make solutions and help people make decisions. And machine learning lets me continue to do that.
So you mentioned that you had an opportunity to get into machine learning. Can you kind of tell us a little more about how you started your career in machine learning and what that's like?
Just froze there for a second. So I'm just, in case it's going through, just waited a second there. Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually offered one of the spots in RoboGarden's very first version of their bootcamp. And I was extremely excited to take them up on that offer because right around then, machine learning was really kind of starting to find its momentum. In businesses, different industries, the tech community were all starting to embrace this technology because it was becoming so much more accessible. And so I really wanted to know more about it. I wanted to be part of that. And it's still really progressing. It's a massively growing field, billion-dollar economies. There's so many opportunities in the field. So I wanted to find out what that was all about and add that list of skills to what I could offer to a potential employer or a business that I wanted to work with. because it's not going anywhere. These machine learning models are all around us. So I was offered a spot in this boot camp, and of course I was very excited about that. So I completed the boot camp, did all the projects, built my portfolio, and continued taking those skills. I took on more projects. I joined hackathons and groups that were working with data, really kind of embedded myself in the tech community in Calgary. And it's an incredible group of people here and across Canada as well. The tech community is a really unique ecosystem. Shortly after that, I started in as a data analyst in the field as well. Yeah, so that's how I got started. Machine learning is such a great way to practice so many of the different skills that you use as a data analyst or data scientist. Working with data, data wrangling, understanding databases, data visualization, how to actually make models and use them, how to solve problems using a predictive technology. So yeah, that's how I got started in machine learning and AI, and it's been great.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your experience with the RoboGarden Bootcamp?
Sure. So when I did it, it looked a little bit different because it was prior to the world kind of going online with all the changes that we've seen in the last couple of years. That being said, the way that we interacted with the technology was essentially the same. And so what's really cool about the bootcamp is it's a really comprehensive coverage of machine learning in a really hands-on way. So we're really trying to get learners interacting with the technology, using the skills that we're explaining and covering in the materials as quickly as possible and in a fun way. So everything is kind of got like a fun game feel to it, and it kind of makes it more exciting to, I don't know. I'm competitive, so I like points and scores and stuff like that. I don't know about you, Amber, but it's fun. So in kind of a way that really encourages you to keep going and to learn as much as you can and use your new skills. One of the other things that really stood RoboGarden out for me as well was the access to support. It really feels like such a strong community. There's the teaching team with the instructors and fully supported TA sessions. If you're stuck on something, they're there to help you, whether it's helping you kind of figure out which direction you need to go on your own, or giving you maybe a link to what kind of problem you're actually encountering so that you can go and search out a solution. So the access to the TAs are really awesome. And then we've got like a full comprehensive support system. So you can contact us by email, you can reach out to us at any time, really, and we can support before really things like this, answering questions, make sure it's a good fit for you. During the bootcamp itself, we want you to be successful, right? Like, this is a big investment, so of your time and your energy, and so you want to get as much as you can out of it, and we want that for you all. So we want to be there to support you. I also love hearing from the industry professionals that we bring in. So hearing about what they're doing in industry, cool projects that they're working on, the types of problems that they're facing, and how we might collectively as a tech community be able to solve them in the future. I really liked that component of it. And so that's something that RoboGarden does as well, to help support students make that transition from learning and mastering skills to the workforce. So yeah, comprehensive, fun, engaging, all in one place platform that moves you through the content in a very supported community that really wants to help see students succeed. Yeah.
Thanks, Nicole. And so in terms of specific skills to kind of get you started into this career, what would you say in terms of going into the boot camp would you need for skills?
Yeah, so this is a question that comes up quite a bit. So sometimes I'm asked very specific questions like, do I need to be a stats expert in order to do machine learning? Not really. Do I need to be a tech expert to start learning about machine learning? No. Do I need to be an expert coder to start machine learning? No. No, you don't. The way that RoboGarden has designed this program is that it's really meant to be able to support any level of coding experience, to get you off the ground, introduce you to Python, get you started using Python code that's applicable to machine learning, and really get you using these amazing, fantastic libraries that are available for Python that are supported and built by the industry and used by the industry on a daily basis, and get you using these models in a really easy, fun way. So do you have to have coding experience to do this? No. Does it help? Of course. But it's really designed in a way to get you those skills quickly and start using them. And as you go, of course, as you understand it better, your code will get more complex and you continue to learn more. And you can always, and I always encourage students to do this, is to keep adding tools to your toolbox and learning, learning more, right? So that being said, if you do have a background in data, it obviously helps as well. So I had a background in data, right, using different types of analysis to work with geological data, but it could be anything, right? It could be financial data, it could be uh, image data, right? Like there's a big field of machine learning in working with photos and optical character recognition and computer vision, right? It's like all these different things. Having some of that understanding of data, helpful, of course. But we do cover it in the bootcamp as well if you need it as a refresher or it's something that you haven't seen in a while. But it's all really based on some of those like simpler relationships that most of us see in high school anyways as well. So do you need any specific skills? No. We cover as much of it as we can in the length of the bootcamp. And what you need in order to move into machine learning. Does it help if you already have it? Of course. And it will allow you to move a little bit quicker through the material or allow you to dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics.
So I know that you've mentioned this kind of briefly throughout what you've told us already about the bootcamp and your experience, but in terms of choosing a bootcamp, what makes RoboGarden, the bootcamp experience, unique compared to some of our competitors that are out there or the other programs that are available?
Yeah, so one of the nice things about the bootcamp now is it is all completely online. So anybody from pretty much anywhere can access it from wherever you are, as long as you have an internet connection. So that is super nice. You don't have to travel. You can do it at your office at the end of the day. If that's something you can do, you can do it from home. You can do it from the library, right? There's lots of options. The online is nice. Everything is contained as well. You're not going to this site and that site. Everything is provided inside of the platform that you need in order to get started. And all the resources outside of that are free. So we recommend using open source software for the most part. So there's no additional costs. You don't have to go buy another textbook. You don't have to go buy a learning to code book. You don't have to go buy something else. Everything can be done with open source software. So that's a really nice thing. We're also like designing the bootcamp to be available and accessible to folks that are working. So we do purposely choose to have sessions in the evenings, just so that if you do have daytime work, that it is something that you can make those online sessions. You don't have to. We do record them so that you can go back and watch them again, or you can watch the material if you miss a session. That's totally fine. But obviously, having an opportunity to go and ask questions is always great, and to be able to interact and participate in the instructional sessions. We love that. I know that myself anyways, we try and offer lots of opportunities to have discussions about some of the topics that come up in machine learning and AI. And sometimes those are a lot of fun and great. So that's kind of a unique part about that versus, just doing a recorded class. Again, that access to the support team, you've got the instructors, you've got the TAs, you've got the email support, you've got Amber, you've got a whole team of people behind you, UBC as well, like everyone, the whole team supporting learners as they go through the program. Oh, yes. And the last point kind of on this one, maybe one of the most important potentially, I don't know, is the way that the bootcamp is set up as well. It's very project based. So what we're really trying to do is help you cover the spans of topics and opportunities. There's incredible things happening in machine learning, all these opportunities in machine learning. And at the same time, as you're learning it, you're building a portfolio. So when you're done the program, you have this fantastic collection of projects that are showcasing all the skills that you've developed and worked on over the course of the bootcamp. And so that final project is really a showcase of all those skills, and it's an opportunity to kind of hone your machine learning skills and in the class to present that and share that with your class and the instruction team. Like you would if you were speaking to somebody from industry. So it's such a big part of it, because you can learn about machine learning, you can learn to code, but let's actually use it to solve a problem. And so I think that's one of the really key parts of this bootcamp, is that it is project based. So we're always applying those skills and ways to solve problems and build that portfolio. I also like the career stuff at the end. We want to help see students and learners succeed. So there's a lot of support at the end of the bootcamp as well, how to take those skills that you've been working so hard on and translate that on your resume or your LinkedIn profile or in an interview, so that you can, maybe you're trying to get a take on a new role or take on a new project inside of your current role. Maybe you're trying to change careers. Maybe you want to switch to some freelancing, and this is a skill that you'd like to add, right? So we talk about how to get ready for all of those things. So lots of unique things, I think, to be honest. The focus on machine learning, right? We talk about data wrangling, but we really want to cover machine learning. How do you use it? How do you evaluate? How do you solve problems with it? Getting those career skills, the support system, the single place to access all the materials. I found all those. I appreciate them as a student, and I appreciate them as an instructor as well.
I think that's a pretty, well, there's a lot of points there. So I think
yes, sorry.
good distinguishing factors, but I definitely think that having that practical experience is really key to being able to put into practice what you're actually learning and being able to do it right away. I think that's very valuable. So in terms of the length of a boot camp, I know it starts in January. Can you let us know how long the boot camp is?
So boot camp is 22 weeks. Sounds like a long time, but it goes by really quick. That's about 6 months. So starts January 30th, the new year here, which I cannot believe is 2023 already. And we'll go in through June. So we'll end about the end of the school year there. It is designed to work around folks that maybe do have full-time employment right now, and that's why the length of the course, so that you have time to cover all the amazing topics and materials and really get your hands in and make sure that you're using and understanding and producing some cool stuff with that content.
And what are the timings for the sessions?
Yeah, so because it is a bootcamp, it is a more intensive type course than just like a once a week type class. So typically, we would have in this style of class, we would have an instructional session every night, so Monday to Friday, followed by a tutorial session where you have hands-on time or work to have time to work hands-on on the material that we're covering for that week or that module. So typically the lectures are 1 hour Monday to Friday, and then a 2-hour tutorial following the lectures Tuesday through Friday. They're usually in the evenings. I don't think the time is completely set in stone yet, but it's usually around 5 or so in the evening. Those start somewhere around there. But it's really meant to be workable with a full-time work schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just in terms of the breakdown of timing, I know that 22 weeks is a long time, and it sounds like there's about 13 hours of time that people will have to do for the live sessions. Can you tell us a little bit more about any self-directed work that they might have to do to complement those live sessions outside of that time?
Yeah, so the bootcamp itself is designed to be about 450 hours over the span of those 22 weeks. So outside of the instructional and supported TA sessions, there's usually around 12 hours or so each week of time that you'll want to spend on your own working with the content. Some weeks are a little bit shorter, some weeks might be a little bit longer. Maybe there's a week you're super interested in and you want to spend a bit longer with it. I know that happens to me. So there's no like, you've hit 12 hours, you must stop. There's nothing like that. Like, we encourage you to spend as much time as you wish working with the material, and working with the models if you wish to do so. But that's about the breakdown. So about 5 hours of instruction a week, 10 of TA time, and about 12 of self-study. So yeah, easy. You can fit it in.
Yeah, and I think that because it's in the evenings, it is workable with a full-time job. But it is, I think that's one thing that kind of stress on, is it is a boot camp style course. It's very intensive, but it is meant to be broken down to be doing while you're doing a full-time job, if that's what you choose to do. Yeah. So can you talk us through about what is actually covered in terms of machine learning and AI over these weeks, or the weeks of our learning weeks?
Yeah, so we refer to them as modules, but each series of weeks grouped together into a module will cover a specific topic, and they're really built upon the previous one for the most part, as we work our way through the workflow process of machine learning. So the first topic, we'll learn how to use Python. So the fundamentals of Python, really learning to code in Python to the context of machine learning. How to do some data analysis, make some visualizations using some of the libraries available in Python. So spend some time in that. And once we've kind of got a feel for working with data, analyzing data sets, data wrangling, if you will, then we jump into classical machine learning models. So we're really talking about classification and regression here, as well as clustering. And we talk about various different ways to do that. We do cover recommender engines as one of the modules, which I really love. recommender engines are everywhere. So this is a very interesting section of the course for a lot of folks. And then we jump into deep learning. So what we kind of refer to as modern machine learning techniques, artificial neural networks or deep networks, deep learning. It goes by many names. And we talk about when those should be used, when they have to be used, because there's no other way to solve that specific problem, how to use them, the libraries used, all the different ways that we can utilize that technology. So those are really the pieces of it. How to use Python to do, how to code in Python for machine learning, data analysis and visualizations, classical machine learning, recommender engines, modern machine learning, and then the final project. And then of course we finish it off with how to take those skills in our learn to earn weeks, which is when we're talking about how to take those skills to market.
So just backtracking a little bit before we get into the learn to earn weeks can you tell us a little more about like RoboGarden's game-based platform? I know you mentioned you're very competitive and that you really like that feature. So can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so I think most of us like a good chance to compete, whether it's with yourself or with someone else. But we've tried to bring some of that to the platform. So it is a game-based platform. That doesn't mean you're going to be, building and the next like Super Mario or something like that. But we're bringing those kind of components into it. So for example, there's ways to earn points with a streak. So if you log in every day and practice, you earn more points. And as you work your way through the exercises and the lessons and hand in your projects, you earn more points and you start to level up the tiers of the developer status. So you earn more experience. So I find that a lot of fun. It gives you that little bit of like competitiveness to get your answers correct as quickly as you can and as efficiently as you can. And at the end of the day, it's kind of carries through to code, right? Like you want your code to be clean and efficient. So that's kind of what we're trying to encourage as well. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it. It keeps it light and a little bit more fun, and it's a fun way to learn.
So as you move from these game-based module learning and you move into the learn to earn weeks later on in the program, can you tell us a little bit more about what learn to earn is?
Sure. So the learn to earn weeks are where we focus on, like I mentioned, how to bring those skills to market. And because the tech industry has, there's multiple options there, right? So you might be trying to upgrade your skills, or you might be trying to do a career pivot, or maybe you've been in tech your whole career and you want to add machine learning to it because you want to take on a different type of role or pursue a new opportunity. We bring in career advisors who join the sessions during those weeks to really share experience about the industry, help you build and update your resume to get those opportunities, like to get into the door for those opportunities and those interviews, what kind of interview or what kind of opportunities to look for, how to prepare for the interviews, how to get the interviews. Also, how to prepare and organize that portfolio that we've been spending a lot of time building. So we do spend quite a bit of time talking about that. But there's also a pretty big freelance market for this type of industry. So we also spend a little bit of time introducing folks in the bootcamp to that as well. So where can you go to find freelance opportunities? What kind of projects do you have the skills coming straight out of the bootcamp to try and take on? How do you market yourself as a consultant or a contractor or a freelancer if you're out talking to folks in the community and you're interested in that type of work in the gig economy, if you want to call it that. So both kind of parts of entering the industry, maybe you want to try some freelancing to keep building your skills while you are looking for employment. There's lots of options coming out of the bootcamp, and we try to cover all of those and support students in pursuing their goals coming out of the course.
Awesome. And my other question, which I think you just answered, was how does RoboGarden Machine Learning and AI Bootcamp help students find work? And I think that there's only really, other than those career, like all of those tips that we provide you throughout it with the career industry speakers and all those portfolio tips, I think the only other thing that we really do is a bootcamp alumni newsletter that we send out every couple of weeks with some job opportunities that people can sign up for in both the freelance and the career worlds. So I think that's the only thing to add on to that.
Yeah.
To add.
I had the certificate of completion from UBC. So there's also that. So you do have that documentation that you've taken a program through a Canadian post-secondary continuing education department. So that's also beneficial in looking for new opportunities. Yeah,
definitely. And in terms of minimum system requirements for the bootcamp, is there anything that people need to have on their computer or be capable of doing with their computer?
Sure. Yeah. So pretty much any current computer or laptop setup will let you do machine learning. I started out using unpromoted plug here, but a Surface Pro. It's a tablet essentially, pretty powerful one, but it's a tablet and it did just fine. Am I going to be able to take that as to the commercial level? Probably not. But is it more than enough to get started exploring and learning about machine learning? Absolutely. 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 So normally what I kind of recommend as a minimum requirements to get started with machine learning is a stable and secure internet access. Because it is a virtual delivery. Having a good connection makes the experience as optimum as possible. And also sometimes we're trying to run models, so we're using our computers in multiple ways while we're online. So that is a little bit of does take up a bit of resources. So a good internet connection, Windows 10 or equivalent Mac operating system. You can work in either one. They both work great. Stable internet, 8 gigs RAM is probably the minimum. Remember, machine learning is data intensive. So it's really easy to get a data set that's already at a few gigabytes. And then you have to keep that in memory while you're doing everything else. So you can really quickly reach that cap. So 8 is kind of the minimum, 16 is ideal, but right, you can make it work with what you've got to get started learning. And some free internal hard drive space. So probably 32 gigs at least of free space, whatever that looks like for your system. Just because we do download some software and you are going to be working with some larger data sets towards the end of the bootcamp when we do neural networks. So you will need a bit of storage space there, and just to keep track of all the projects you're working on. But that's kind of the bare minimum. Modern processor will work just fine until Core i5s is what's in the Surface Pros, and they seem to manage. The more you have, just the faster and quicker everything will be. But you can get started with pretty much a Surface Pro. It does not work on a tablet though, so you do need a computer of some kind, laptop or desktop.
Awesome, thank you. And so this bootcamp, it is run in partnership with UBC Extended Learning, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Very exciting.
It is very exciting. It's exciting that we're expanding our partnerships with the RoboGarden, and UBC is an excellent person to be
Yeah, they're one of the top world university ranking schools, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. So what are the projects that are offered in the boot camp?
So I mentioned a few minutes ago, every module has projects that we work on as we progress through the course. So every module, which kind of works out to every week, couple weeks, you're going to have at least a couple of opportunities to work on projects specific to the content that we're covering in that session and add those to your portfolio. So if we're working in classical machine learning week and we're talking about classification, you'll have a few projects that you're going to build classification models, perhaps using different methods, and you'll be able to add those to your portfolio. And I mentioned at the very end, we've got that capstone project, and that really brings all the different skills together, and you can highlight and show off all your new coding skills and machine learning modeling techniques. So lots of opportunities to do project-based, solution-focused projects and build them into a portfolio that you can use to show towards a potential employer or future client.
I think that's great that you can build on your portfolio as you're completing this course. I think that's one of those things that you mentioned is a huge feature of our boot camp. So once the students have completed, I'm disappearing into my background. Once the students have completed their boot camp, what do they receive upon completion? Success.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned it a question or two ago, but upon successful completion of the course of the bootcamp, you'll get a digital micro-credential from the University of British Columbia Extended Learning and RoboGarden. So you can take that credential, you can add it to your LinkedIn profile, you can add it to your resume, whatever helps you show that you have spent some significant time working through all these materials and adding these skills to be able to use in your career. So that's really great. Yeah, use it. Put it on your LinkedIn. Put it on your put it on your resume. So that's great. But it is a digital micro credential through UBC.
That is the world we're entering into, is the digital badges that people are going to be getting. So it's exciting that that's something that we'll be offering, so you can showcase that on your LinkedIn, which will also show you how to update and build your personal brand. So that's great.
Love it.
In terms of costs, how much does this bootcamp cost?
So the bootcamp is $8,995 for the whole program. And like I mentioned before, you don't have to go buy other textbooks. You don't need any other software. That's the pretty much the full investment into the program. RoboGarden does offer a payment plan, which is available over a 6-month period. And if you're interested in that, you can reach out to us and we can give you details of the payment schedule. But to get started, 30% is due before the start of the bootcamp, which is January 30th. And then the rest is divided out through the progression of the course.
And I know this is a question that we get a lot, is there a tax rebate for this program?
Okay, so the UBC Extended Learning, Machine Learning and AI Bootcamp. So this program, it's delivered in partnership with RoboGarden. So you don't get a T2202, a tuition enrollment certificate. However, you do get a tuition receipt, which may allow you to claim the tuition tax credit. So we're not a tax advice company, so definitely refer to the Canadian Revenue Agency or your personal accountant, or whoever's helping you with your taxes for further guidance on that. But yes, we do receive a tuition, or we do provide a tuition receipt, which could be claimed against your tuition tax credit.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. And in terms of what sort of job opportunities are there for once people are out of this boot camp and they've received the certificate and they've put in that practical work, what kind of jobs can they look at?
So many. There's so many jobs in this industry. It's very exciting. It's always progressing and moving and changing, and I see new job titles in different industries almost every day. When I talk to folks and different things, they're always excited to share their projects, and we're working on all different projects across like the entire gamut of industries. It's really, really cool in this space. So what kind of titles are you looking for? Mostly I feel like am I back, Amber? I feel like I'm going in and out here. My internet's being funny now. So the most obvious one, of course, would be a machine learning developer or a machine learning engineer. If you're an engineer, those would be people that are taking the modeling skills that you've learned. Maybe it's deep learning, and you're going to be helping an organization or a client to train a machine learning model in order to embed it into their workflow some way, or maybe it's going to be a new product all on its own and you're creating some amazing disruptive technology. Those are the kind of work kind of under that title. Maybe you might take on a data analyst or a data scientist role, depending on what your background is. Some folks move into business intelligence roles, so business intelligence analyst. So that could be anything from looking at financial data or sales data, marketing data, stuff like that. There's titles like human-centered machine learning designers. There's user experience designers or developers. That's a really interesting space. If you have some kind of background, maybe in art or graphic design or maybe history or English, video game design, maybe, like depending what you're doing, that might lead into a role like that, where the machine learning understanding helps you develop a better user experience or something. AI developers or AI engineers, research scientists use a lot of these skills as well. You might see big data developers or engineers, natural language processing or computer vision, machine learning specialists, so folks that are working with predictive language technologies or computer vision technologies. You could go into sales. Maybe you're going to work for a tech company, and now that you have been exposed to more machine learning techniques and coding and tech project management, maybe you want to take on more of a sales or a marketing role. Maybe you'll be a founder or an entrepreneur and start your own business with a previous skill set that you have. Some folks become freelancers in some variety of the above. Some folks stay in their current role and just incorporate new skills into what they're already doing. So I think that's kind of a vague list. And there's more. Like there's so many different roles out there. It's really exciting. There's so many different fields of machine learning that you could go in. With this basis, you could also explore robotics or autonomous technologies, vehicles, robots, stuff like that. So like the robotics field, you could pursue that further if you wanted to. Really, the sky's the limit, and there's so much opportunity out there. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that just from talking to people in the industry, it seems that even more industries are embracing machine learning and AI. And so even if you don't think that it's involved in your career path, it very likely will be if it isn't already. And so being able to understand and have a good understanding of those will just help propel you to be able to excel in your career regardless of what you end up doing.
Absolutely. Tech's not going away, right?
No.
It's just not. It's becoming, whether you touch it indirectly or you're potentially in a role where you have a problem that you need to solve, and the solution to that problem is to outsource it in some way. Maybe that outsourcing or outsourced solution is an AI or an ML technology, and having an understanding of what those technologies are can help you to bring the right solutions on board. So you might not be the one coding it yourself. Maybe you're working at the way that your users or your subscribers or your students are interacting with it. So from like the UX, UI design perspective, maybe you're building the whole thing as a founder or freelancer, right? There's this whole spectrum of what you want to do with it. Dashboarding is another big area as well, and machine learning can also be used for components of dashboarding and integrated in there as well. So there's just so many opportunities out there. Yeah.
Sounds like our future is exciting.
It's in every industry. It's in healthcare, it's in sports, it's in fashion, it's in we hear a lot about like fintech, like the financial sector. There's lots of machine learning models happening there. It's in our entertainment. It's in everywhere. It's happening in our industry, like in our industrial industries, right? Your energy, your forestry, people in fisheries are starting to talk about it. People in sustainability are talking about it. Renewable energies are talking about it. It's all over the place. So, yeah,
well, I'm sure you could go on for a long time talking about things that are coming up in the machine learning and AI industries. But I'll let anyone type in some questions if they have any questions. I know one question came in about if we're doing a demo of our learning platform. That's not on our schedule of what we're doing today, but if you want to reach out to us, we can definitely set up a session to kind of go through it and give you a bit of a taster as to what it looks like.
Absolutely.
And like Nicole mentioned, we do use some things outside of just our platform to kind of help you get involved with some of the technology that you're using outside in the real world, and making sure that you're equipped with some of those real world technologies and an understanding of how to use them. So that is also something that we go through and explain to you in another session if you want.
Actually, that's a great point, Amber. Thanks for mentioning that. I said everything's like self-contained in the platform. I'm really referring to the learning materials and an opportunity to practice. We absolutely do encourage students to use the tools outside the platform that are used across industry to do your machine learning coding and complete your projects, because that's ultimately what you would be using once you complete the program. So we definitely want to set students up with the skills in order to enter the workforce. So thanks for clarifying that.
There's a lot of information here, so that's not a problem that I'm helping out with
Love it.
Some of it. We'll just give everyone another minute, but just while we're wrapping up, thank you, Nicole, for sharing all your insight with us, your knowledge on the bootcamp and of the industry. It's really helpful for people that are making the decision as to whether or not this is the right fit for them, and whether or not machine learning and AI is the right fit for them as well. And if you're in the audience and you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to answer questions, provide some more guidance. And sometimes I know it's more intimidating asking in a bigger audience rather than asking one-on-ones. We're happy to kind of create that personal relationship with you and help guide you through your decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in, so.
That's okay. I think I covered a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me, Amber. I do love talking about this stuff, and I think it's exciting to hear what all the different options are and what's covered in the program and how that leads from one to another. And I'll wrap up my part just by saying that machine learning is everywhere, and whether you use it in your career or it's something that you're going to that you want to just understand better, it's a fascinating field. It's inspiring. It's and it's not going away. So just keep abreast of the way that technology is changing. This is a great tool to add to your career toolbox. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Nicole, for joining us. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for tuning in, and we hope to be in touch with you soon.
Thanks, Amber.
Bye.